Hi, I'm Sil, and this is part 10 of my video series, The Best Way to Learn English. Today, I would like to talk about something that I think is one of the major problems for many students. With my students, sometimes, especially in the beginning, I find that they don't really take an active role in the conversation. Sometimes with a new student, during the lesson, we might start and I might say, "Oh, hi." They'll say, "Hello." Say, "How are you?" "I'm fine, thank you." Maybe they will ask, "And you?" And then I will say, "Oh, I'm good, thanks." "So, what's new?" "Nothing." "Oh, what did you do this weekend?" "Oh, I stayed home." "Nothing? You didn't leave the house?" I watched a movie." "Well, what was the movie?" "Inception." "Did you like it?" "Yes." "Okay. What did you think of it?" "It was good." "Okay, but do you have any other opinions or ideas?" It was exciting." "Okay." So, as you can see, this conversation is simply me asking questions and the student giving me one-word answers, or maybe two words, one or two or three words for an answer. But if you think about it, that is not really a conversation. In this case, the student is waiting for me to ask every question and doesn't offer anything except the absolute minimum to the conversation. Now, sometimes it's because the student really doesn't have the vocabulary or the grammar to expand. However, I am a teacher and I know if the student's level is good enough to give me more or not. If it's a new student that really can't speak English, then I will not ask these questions. So what's happening? Well, I'm not 100% sure, but my theory is that when they enter the classroom, in their heads, there's a switch, which is, okay, now I'm a student and you are a teacher, and I'm going to wait until you teach me things. And I'm only going to answer questions. And I think that's what's happening because sometimes the same student, if I see them out, maybe I happen to see them at the market or something like that, they will usually give me longer answers. If we are speaking Japanese, then they're giving all kinds of ideas and answers. So it's important to remember, what I'm saying is that outside of the classroom, there's no problem. The conversation is quite natural. But inside the classroom, once I become the teacher and they are the student, the conversation changes completely to something that is really not a conversation. So it's important for you to remember what a conversation is. And you have to keep that in mind sometimes and push yourself to have a real conversation. If you maybe you're shy about your level of English or anything, for any reason, if you feel that you're being very quiet and that you're not participating in the conversation, maybe it's a good idea to review what exactly is a conversation. Well, a conversation is many things. There are many components to what a typical conversation is. If you're having a conversation with your friends or someone in your family or someone at work, we will often see a lot of these and sometimes more. One of the components is asking questions. Now, in my example, I was asking questions. Yes. Answering questions. The student was answering questions. Yes. But that's all there was. And so that wasn't a very good conversation. In order to have a good conversation, a fulfilling conversation, there's more. Expressing opinions. For example, when I asked, what movie did you see? I saw Inception. Oh, great. Well, what did you think of it? Oh, well, I thought that the story was pretty good, but I had trouble following it. It was a little confusing to me. So I watched it a second time. That would be a more normal answer that I would expect from, let's say, my friend if I asked them the same question. So expressing opinions, sharing ideas, giving advice, telling stories, expressing your feelings, relating experiences, consoling. There's all kinds of things to a conversation. For example, expressing opinions. You don't always have to wait for the other person to ask you how you feel or for new ideas. You can give your ideas and your opinions voluntarily, without being asked. So, some examples, which I'm sure you already have no problem thinking of, but let's have some examples here anyway. Expressing your opinion. So in the case of the movie, well, I thought it was a good movie, but it was a little bit too long, and the story was a little bit too complicated. I didn't really understand it. That's an opinion. Sharing ideas. Whatever ideas you may have about something, you can express those freely. If you're talking with your friend and you're sitting at a coffee shop and, I don't know, maybe the tables are in a strange kind of layout, you might just say, hey, they should have tables over there and there, but not here. This is not a good layout. The layout should be, a little different. It would be better that way. You're sharing your ideas, you're expressing your opinions, giving advice. If your friend is talking about trouble with, maybe trouble at work with his boss, you can offer some advice. Say, hey, well, you should quit your job, or you should find a new job, or you should work harder and try to get a promotion. Something. The advice, if it's good advice, your friend will welcome that advice. Telling stories. For example, if your friend is complaining about trouble at work with his boss, say, yeah, my boss is always giving me extra work. You can tell a story, and this is kind of related here to relating experiences. You can tell a story about your own experiences in the past. It's like, yeah, I had a job once where the boss was being really mean to me. But what I did was blah, 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 and everything worked out great. Maybe you should try that. So all of these components are mixed, and you can have two or three together. You can tell a story, you can relate your experience, and you can give advice all at the same time. Expressing your feelings. If you feel that your boyfriend hasn't been paying enough attention to you, you can say, hey, you know, I expect you to pay more attention to me, or whatever. Express your feelings. Relating experiences, again, telling a story or telling the other person something about yourself that is similar to what they are experiencing, and then maybe they can learn something from it, or maybe, you know, consoling, making someone feel better. If you tell them an experience of yours that is similar to theirs, that also is one way to console someone, make them feel better about their negative situation. So a conversation is all of these things. Think about your conversations that you have with your English-speaking friends, or maybe perhaps with your English teacher, and think about whether you are really giving what you can to the conversation or to the lesson. Are you doing these things, or are you just doing the minimum? Because this is important. If you're not having a normal conversation, then your teacher will be forced to feed you English that, you know, from a textbook, basically. You can't have a conversation, and I can't, as a teacher, I can't help students express themselves. I can't help students get their ideas out of their heads if they don't tell me what those ideas are. And I can't help them express it in better natural English if I don't have any idea if there's even if there even is an idea in their heads. So you need to really make an effort to try to get these ideas out of your head, through your mouth, and into the air. One thing, maybe you're worried about making mistakes. Don't worry about making mistakes, because nobody cares. If you make a mistake, nobody is going to laugh at you for having poor English. If you're with somebody and you speak English and you make a mistake and they laugh at you, then they are not your friends. So maybe that's a good thing. You learned, hey, this person was laughing at me, making fun of me. They are not good people. They're not my friends. They're not compassionate. They're not understanding. And they're not the type of people I want to be friends with. So in a way, this could be a good thing. If you make mistakes and people laugh at you, move on. Find new friends, because nobody should laugh at another person's mistakes using a second language. Now, that said, sometimes the mistake itself, not the fact that you made a mistake, but the mistake itself can be funny. I remember one of my early lessons when I moved to Japan and I was teaching a student, and it was the beginning of the lesson, and I said, okay, let's ask each other some questions. And, you know, I asked her, oh, you know, like, how long have you been studying English? And she said, oh, you know, 2 years, or whatever the answer was. Then I said, okay, ask me a question. And she asked me, she said, how long are you? And I smiled, and I wasn't laughing at her for making a mistake, but it was funny to me because the question she wanted to ask was, how tall are you? She wanted to ask me how tall I was. But the words she used, how long are you? um, that question is not a question we would ask anyone, okay? But if I were asked that question, I would feel that it's a very, very personal question, because how long are you has a very strong connotation of referring to a person's private parts. So, so I thought that can't be the question she's really asking me. And I said, excuse me, one more time? And so, so then she said, you know, she repeated, how long are you? And of course, I became a little embarrassed about being asked this question by a young woman. And then I just thought, oh boy. And then she kind of said, how long are you? I said, oh, how tall am I? So, so it was funny, but not because she made a mistake. It was just by coincidence, her choice of words created an unintentional meaning that that was kind of risque. So, so that was funny. Not her, but the mistake itself. The combination of words that she happened to use was a little bit funny. So there may be cases like that. Don't feel bad about it. The other person is not laughing at you for making a mistake. Maybe the mistake itself can sometimes be a little bit funny. Don't worry about it. Just move on. And here's another tip. If you have trouble expressing yourself because maybe you have a complex idea in your head and you don't know how to express it in English, you don't know those difficult words that you need, well, take a complex idea and turn it into simple words and sentences. Well, let's take a simple idea and make it even simpler, okay? Let's say, for example, you want to say, yesterday I drove 200 kilometers, okay? So yesterday I drove 200 kilometers. Now, you forgot the word drove, or you don't know the word drove, okay? Or drive. So you say, yesterday I forget it. A lot of students will give up and they just go, yesterday nothing, it's okay. That's not good. I have no idea what you wanted to say. So to express that idea more simply, they could simply say, yesterday I used my car to go 200 kilometers. And then me, as the teacher or as the other person in the conversation, I can easily imagine that the student wanted to use the word drive or drove. So the student might say, yesterday I used my car to go 200 kilometers. Oh, you drove. You drove your car 200 kilometers. Yes, drove. That's it. That's the word. Yes, drove. So you can change the words that you're using to other words to explain your ideas. And of course, you can use actions also. Gestures, okay? So yesterday I drove. I do this, and then the teacher or your friend will say, what, drove? Yeah, that's it, drove. I drove 200 kilometers. Okay, so you can get your ideas across even if you don't remember the exact word you were thinking in your language. You don't remember the English word. That's okay. Don't worry about it. Just use simpler words, simpler ideas to express that. Let me give you another example. And you can ask questions too. Ask the other person. Say, yeah, I need to buy a new, that thing that you use when you're singing, when you're la 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 la. The thing you hold when you're singing is microphone? Yes, microphone. That's it. So you can ask questions. What's that thing you use when you sing? You hold it in your hand and you sing into it. It takes your voice and puts it out through speakers. Blah 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 blah. So you can explain your ideas in simpler words using simpler grammar, and also you can use actions and gestures to communicate those ideas. Don't be afraid to do that. Of course, now, one more thing I'd like to say is it's important to listen to the other person. When they give you the right word, don't just go, yeah, and then keep going. I know a lot of people that do that. I will actually give them the right word, the correct word or the correct sentence. And they go, yeah, and they keep going. But then they made no effort to remember that word. And so the next time, they don't remember it. And so try to remember these new words. If you're talking with someone or with your teacher and they give you the correct word or the correct grammar, make a note, write it down, so you can remember it next time, or after you can study it and memorize the vocabulary. So that's it. This is advice on being active in the conversation. It's very important, A, to have a good conversation, but also B is that if you don't try to express yourself, then how can you improve? You can't. So try your best. If you can't, you can't. Don't worry about that. But as much as you can, you should try to express yourself. Don't give up, and just keep doing your best to get your ideas out. Okay? So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button. And of course, again, if you know anyone who is learning English and could use this advice, please feel free to pass it on to them. Share it and give them the link to this video or my website or my YouTube channel. And that's it for today. Thank you very much. I will see you again soon. I have another video waiting to be shot. I will shoot that soon and upload it, so please keep an eye out for it. Thank you. Bye-bye.